Hi, I'm Evan Stauffer. I'm the producer of Get Bakin, and today I'm in the Spice Lab, which is a part of the Physics and Astronomy department at Appalachian State University. Today I am joined with
Carla Ramsdell
and Emma Watkins.
And joined with REI, which is now Renew, we are going to be making you some really good lentil tacos. Let's get baking.
Hello, Emma.
Hello.
Thanks for being here. We're going to cook some lentils and we're going to talk about why maybe that's important. SPICE in the Spice Lab stands for Sustainable Physics Inspired Culinary Education. So we're trying to sort of teach about the sustainability of the food system, and hugely thankful for the REI, which is now called Renew. We'll learn more about them a little later, who really made this whole space possible. So the really cool thing about the Spice Lab is that every oven and refrigerator and everything is data logging energy constantly, so we can kind of compare both equipment and technique into how much power was required. So we're going to cook side by side a pound of lentils on both an induction cooktop in the back and a radiant cooktop in the front. They're both already filled. How much did you put in there?
I put 5 cups of water.
5 cups of water, both straight out of the tap, so our starting condition is the same, and we're gonna sort of monitor the energy to bring both of these up to a boil. So let's go ahead and turn them both on. There we go. Okay, they're both on. We're gonna go ahead and put a lid on both of them and bring that up to a boil. Maybe while we're starting to wait for that to come to a boil, we're just gonna do a little bit of prepping of our vegetables. All right, you can just chop away. Are you feeling good? Okay, super. So here's what we're cooking: lentils. If no one's ever seen a lentil before, they're quite beautiful, and they're a legume, so they're part of the bean family. What I love about a lentil is that there's a lot of surface area and not a lot of middle. So if people have texture issues with beans, they usually like lentils, because especially if you saute them for a bit, they get nice and crispy, and they don't tend to have that kind of inside mush that is off-putting. And so when we replace our animals with vegetables, one of the flavors we really miss is this flavor called umami. Do you know about umami?
I do not know much about umami.
Okay, let me tell you about umami. So umami is one of our flavors, like bitter, sour, sweet, salty. It's the 5th flavor that we identified, and a lot of our umami, which means just deliciousness, comes from our animals. So when we take animals out of the picture, it's important to add back in some umami, and it ends up the mushrooms are a really great umami source. So we're just going to add them in with the lentils. You won't even really know they're there. While we're chopping, do you want to tell us a bit about the REI that is now the Renew?
Yes, so we are the Renewable Energy Initiative. We do a lot of renewable, sustainable, and energy efficient projects here on campus. If you've ever seen the small wind turbine up on the hill, that's ours, as well as many of the solar that's on the buildings. We also have those nifty little solar tables that you go study at sometimes.
All right, so I just have some red onion. It's so beautiful, isn't it? I think red onion, that's really purple, is really beautiful. And again, you can just have it like that on your tacos, certainly. Some people find that to be a little too strong. And so if you just add a little bit of lemon to it and just let it sit for a little while, really great if you let it sit overnight. It really mellows that bitterness, and yeah, it makes it really quite delicious. I have a friend that cannot stand raw onion, but as soon as you do something like this, or you know how you saute an onion and it kind of takes the bite away, this is just another sort of non-cooking way to mellow the bite of an onion a bit. All right, so I'm going to pull out a zester just to get a little more of that lemon zing in here. I'm going to just zest some of this. Much better done before it's cut in half. We see all that lemon zest on there. Lemon zest is just one of those things you have to have fresh. Dry lemon zest, not very good. And then this obviously is going to go in our compost bin. We have a great compost program here at Appalachian State, and we will dump all that in there and it'll feed our future plants. I'm going to get a little spoon and stir that. All right, we're going to just give this a stirring, and then we're just going to let it sit and do some chemistry magic. I might even throw a little splash of garlic salt on there too. All right, so we're going to go ahead and also add a little bit of mushrooms to this. I love this. This is actually like an egg slicer, but it also works really great for strawberries and really great for mushrooms. So it makes really quick work of slicing a mushroom. So just like that. The cool thing about mushrooms is that they are in a different family than than vegetables. Again, not about physics, that's more about biology. But because of that, their cellular structure is different, and they hold up to microwaving way better than most vegetables. Because the mushroom cellular structure is different, we can, use the microwave. Actually, just shockingly delicious to take mushrooms, either whole or usually I slice them, put a little bit of water on it, and a little bit of olive oil and garlic salt, and put it in the microwave, and they just make a great pizza topper or anything else. I'm actually just gonna dice these a little bit because we're gonna mix them right in with the lentils, and we kind of want them to just disappear. Not necessarily know they're there, but they're gonna add this umami flavor that's gonna make the lentils mysteriously taste a little more meaty. And so, that's the magic of mushrooms. Perfect. Oh, we are boiling water back there. We're gonna take a little break from our chopping. So interestingly, the induction cooktop is totally boiling, and our radiant cooktop, even though it's also on high, is
just starting.
Just really not there yet. So induction cooking is so fast. It's faster than a gas flame, actually. We're gonna go ahead and turn that off now that it's boiling. We're gonna compare the energy it took to bring that to a boil to the energy it's gonna take on the radiant cooktop with our energy monitoring. So you wanna just throw the lentils in the induction one. And because water has such a high specific heat, it means it's thermally sluggish. So once we've brought that up to the boiling point, we actually can just let that be and just let it sit. You can put the lid on it for sure. And we're gonna set a timer for about 12 minutes. What we're going for here is a lentil slightly undercooked. And we want to slightly undercook it so it doesn't turn mushy. We want it to kind of have the same mouthfeel or chew as browned ground beef or browned turkey might have. And so really getting the timing right of the cooking of lentils when you're using it as a ground beef replacement is really key. Again, we want to slightly undercook it here because we're going to have one more stage of adding the taco seasoning, and we want to make sure we are before we get to the mush stage.
Nobody wants mushy lentils.
Nobody wants mushy lentils. I don't. Awesome.
Oh,
So we can also turn that one off and add the lentils to that. And I'm looking at the energy monitor. Super fun stuff. So this monitor shows power versus time. And so power is just energy per time. Therefore, that area under the curve is the total amount of energy that it took for cooking. Perfect. So we're going to just let those passively cook for about 12 minutes, and then we're going to taste them, and that'll be sort of our ground beef replacement. Okay, so we're going to take these mushrooms now that have been kind of diced. I'm going to add a little bit of olive oil to this and a little bit of garlic salt and put it in the microwave for just about a minute. So I'm going to add a little bit of garlic salt, and I'm also going to add just a touch of water to the mushrooms also. And we're going into a microwave, and the microwave works on a polar molecule, and water is a polar molecule, which means it's partially positive on one end and partially negative on the other, and the changing field in the microwave is what flips that molecule back and forth and cooks for us. It's fairly magical. Okay, so we stirred all that in. Again, I'm just going to pop it in there for about 2 minutes. Okay, while that's cooking and those are cooking, we're going to do a tiny bit of cleanup. All right, so we cleaned up a little bit, but I'm going to pull those mushrooms out of the microwave. Yeah, and we can see how much sort of they let go of their moisture. Smells really amazing. And again, we're just going to add this to the lentils when we go to make them into taco meat. So we'll put those to the side for a moment. So typically we'd make a taco out of beef, and that's fine. I am not a vegetarian, and I think animals are an important part of our regenerative agricultural model, but perhaps we eat a bit much of them. So trying to come up with alternatives that are delicious is great, and that's kind of what we're about here in the Spice Lab. So you see that we have all these options as possibilities that we could make a taco with. Just pretend these are lentils, beans, and then we have obviously beef, and we have some pork, and then chicken and turkey are another option. So several years ago, I did a research project with who was then a student of mine and is now a colleague of mine in the biology department, and we called it culinary fever. And that stands for Food Emissions Visualization Educational Resource. It's just a way to try to visualize the greenhouse gas emissions from our food choices. And this is the life cycle analysis, like farm to kitchen, not necessarily farm to fork, because we add more energy in our own kitchens. But this is the amount of greenhouse gases that took into bringing this cow, for example, from birth into your kitchen as ground beef. So if we were to make a taco and assume we were going to put a quarter of a pound of each of these things in. We did an analysis. There's a website now that put Culinary Fever into websites, so you also can build a plate side by side, compare what you're eating tonight with what your friends are eating, and see what the overall greenhouse gas emissions are. We based it all on how many 12-inch party balloons would be filled with the greenhouse gases brought to standard atmospheric pressures. So it's like a good visual. Imagine us holding a balloon bundle. So if we did traditional tacos and we went ahead and made it out of beef, how many balloons would we fill?
It would be about 69 balloons.
That is correct. Yep, the cow comes in over here at the farm. Where's the cow? Over here at about, 69 balloons. So let's compare that to lentils first. So what we're doing here are lentils.
Yes.
How many, my friend?
Lentils are a drastic difference at 3 balloons.
3 balloons? Oh my gosh. Okay, so we have 3 balloons here. But you know, some people just aren't ready to go for a total lentil diet. And so there are other options here. There are other farm animal friends of the cow.
All of those are around 20 balloons.
20 balloons.
Yeah.
Awesome. So you see we're at 69 and we're at 3. So really these guys are much closer over here than they are closer over there. You also could do like half beef and half lentils, and you'd see you'd end up right about here, right? So there can be dramatic changes in the impact without necessarily going all the way to a vegetarian diet. The other thing that makes cows really impactful is that they are a ruminant animal, which means they have basically a fermentation system within their gut. They have 3 different stomachs. And so when they move food from stomach to stomach, they belch methane. This is a methane molecule, CH4. It's a really complex molecule compared to CO2, carbon dioxide, that we usually talk about with greenhouse gases. And in pretty much one of these is about 25 times more potent of a greenhouse gas than carbon dioxide. But I'm ready to eat some tacos. Are you?
I am too.
All right,
yes.
Let's do it. They have a little bit of a chew to them still. If I were eating them directly, I might say keep them for about another 2 minutes, but because we have another cooking process, we're gonna call that done. And now one of the keys is to make sure that we stop the cooking process. If we just drain the liquid off, the bottom lentils will still be really hot and continue to cook and turn mushy. So we need to add in some cold water to really quench them and stop the cooking process. So we're just gonna run some cold water over that and also in here. Again, we're just sort of stopping the cooking process, quenching these so that we don't do any more cooking. Mm-hmm. All right, so again, a little bit of a chew, but we don't want to cook them too much longer so they don't get mushy. Do you want to do the draining there?
Sure.
You feeling pretty good about that? All right, so we're going to take one of those pounds of beans, and we're going to fill these 3 pint jars. And so about a pound of dry lentils will make about 3 of these, and each of those jars is equivalent to the volume of about 1 pound of browned ground beef. All right, so Emma's just gonna transform this now into taco meat. To make life easy, we went ahead and bought some just regular taco seasoning. You also can make your own, and so I'll include in the comments the recipe for my taco seasoning mix. I just make a bunch of these in advance and just have them stashed. And then you can sort of adapt it to whatever you want. So first we're going to put a little bit of that garlic that we chopped ahead of time into the oil and let it get a little bit brown first. So we're going to add in those lentils and also the mushrooms. And again, that's going to add umami. It's going to add some moisture as well. And then you can just go ahead and add in, yeah, that packet's just fine. Are you ready to build some tacos?
Definitely.
Let's do it. Perfect. Super short. They're warm. They smell delicious. I'm going to invite the producer, Evan, to come back and make a taco with us. Would you like to come back and build a taco, please? All right.
Absolutely.
Everybody just kind of have at it. I'm going to come over to the lentils first. Put a little bit of taco meat, lentil meat. One thing about street tacos, though, you know, they're a little small. I like a lot of things in my tacos, so avocado would have been a great choice.
That would be good.
Just didn't think about it. I mean, I love tacos also because it's this opportunity to incorporate so many other vegetables and things into your diet too. So if we look at the portion of this, even if it were beef, the portion of it that's meat versus vegetables is pretty low in comparison. I'm excited. Cheers to the humble lentil friends. Thanks for being in the Spice Lab.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Thanks for
so
cooking
much.
with me.
Yes,
Love
thanks
to
for
cook
letting me
with you again
join.
sometime. Appreciate Renew for all the work that they're doing on campus. So we'll be back, right?
Yeah. So make sure to check out any future episodes of Get Bakin. Watch any we already have, and yeah, try this out. It's actually pretty good. Bye.